Hello, and welcome to the first edition of Stud's Side Notes. I decided to start this series because I was doing some stuff off screen, and I thought, hey, this would be really cool to talk about, but it doesn't have anything to do with blocking. So, if I've got something I think is important, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with what we're talking about this week, I'm just going to make a short video about whatever I happen to be thinking about at that time, and this is going to be it. So, non sequiturs ho. Basically, we're going to be talking about how to use training mode to help yourself get better. And the important thing you have to understand about training mode is that training mode, if you're trying to get better at a game, is useful for basically two things. It's useful for answering questions and solving problems. So, what do I mean by that? Basically what I mean is that outside of the really obvious, you're starting the game and you realize, oh, I don't know a combo. I better figure out a combo. Let's try A, B, C, launch, A, B, C, A, B, C. Oh man, we got a combo. Sweet. I'm going to practice that for 10 minutes and go and play some matches. Outside of something like that, what you want to do is play matches, come up with some issues in your game that you want to fix, some problems that need to be solved, and come up with some questions about interactions or how a character's move works that you think you can answer in training mode. We're just going to go over the tools that training mode gives you to do that. So if you're like me, I could stay in training mode all day long, learn a whole bunch of stuff, be perfectly happy, never playing against another human being for the entire day, and I would learn a whole bunch of stuff. I couldn't apply any of that against anyone in matches, but man, would I know a lot. And then I know that there's people on the other side who pretty much don't really use training mode. They don't consider training mode to be very helpful or practical or useful. Just run in, play some matches, play some dudes, and go from there. We're going to try to split that difference. So we need to answer some questions with training mode. Let's start with, what do I do? How do I use training mode? So the first thing we're going to see is there's a bajillion options. Let's go pick some of the ones that are more useful. So the first one is restore defaults. So most games will remember any changes you make to these default settings the next time you go into training mode. So if you are continuing to practice the same thing you did last time, those defaults or those changes will still be there, and you can just change it back to defaults if you've decided you're going to do something else. Usually the defaults change a little bit between game to game, but usually if you do that, it makes your characters immortal. They'll always recover health, and you'll be able to hit your opponent and they won't move or anything. The next thing that I think is really important is the reset button. You can reset to neutral while doing anything, no matter what that is. It doesn't matter. For me, it's the right trigger button on my pad, and you just kind of want to know what that button is because you're going to use it a lot in training mode. So, now that we've got some basics down, what do I want to do to learn about training mode? Well, the first thing I want to know is, I know that when Oleander uses her chapter trap, my opponents have been able to hit it to break it. But does that count as whiffing a move, or does hitting the chapter trap actually allow them to cancel into other moves, just like if they were hitting me? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one of the more useful options, which is the recording option. And here it is. You can't see it, but I can use the select button to make a dummy recording instead of playback. So in this game, I press it once, and I control the character. I press it again, and I can make my recording, and then I press it the last time to stop the recording. So now if I press select again, my character will do what I input. In this case, a single jab, and then I can press select again and have them keep doing it, or I can stop and make it so they don't do anything. And then, this took me a minute, if I hold down select, it will reset and allow me to create a new recording. And now the recording is going to be the stand medium. So, with that information, we're not even really using the recording feature, we're just using the ability to change over to Paprika. So let's get some magic with Oleander, and then I'm going to throw out a chapter trap and see if Paprika can cancel. So you'll see that Paprika's anti-air is this little kiss move, and if she's whiffing buttons, she can whiff her crouching jab into her standing jab, but she can't whiff it into her anti-air. If I try, it just automatically goes for the jab instead. So I had a experience yesterday where my opponent had a trap on the ground and me in the air, and they tried to anti-air me, and when they moved forward to anti-air me, they got hit by the trap. And I was like, wait, Could they have just hit the trap and then canceled and hit me with the anti-air? Obviously like that, except faster? Well, I'm not sure. Let's find out. So let's reset, because we don't want that broccoli there. Let's kick out of anything that Paprika was doing, get some magic, and throw out a chapter trap. Switch over to Paprika, and... Oh! Okay, so if we were playing against a different player there, that player would have been able to anti-air us and deal with our trap at the same time. So the setup that we used yesterday was not real. It just kind of worked because our opponent either didn't successfully deal with the trap, or was in a position where maybe like their hurt box went into the trap before they could hit it, or something. So maybe the setup was more real than we thought, I'm not sure. But the important part is they can cancel when they hit our chapter trap, just like if they're hitting us, which means that we are less safe than I originally thought I was when a chapter trap is around. You have to be careful. They can just hit the trap and then cancel off of that as though they had hit you. So that's one question answered, and now we know. And now when we run into opponents who know, we can respect them accordingly. The next question I had was at round start particularly. So let's kick out of being in with Paprika here. And let's get back to neutral. So at round start, I was having some problems with this medium heavy into confirm. So one of the problems I was having is that if I went too far into the string before using this mini launcher, 6B, 6 medium, which we're not going to go too far into this either, but I'm using number notation. Basically, pretend your character is facing to the right, and then look at the numpad, and if I say a number, then I'm talking about the direction that number would be facing. So 6 would be going forward. So 6B is forward B, which is a button input. It's a command normal that's different from our standard B move. You can see it knocks down Paprika, whereas our standard B move doesn't. So anyway, we'll get into that deeper at some other point. But my problem was if I did medium, heavy, sweep into 6B, I didn't know what to do. I was missing, and then I finally did figure out while playing that what I could do is hit with the jab, or the jump C, but then I didn't know what to do afterwards. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to go through my move set and see what I can get to hit and what I can't. So jab, jab. Okay, so I can do 2 JCs there, the giant fist, but then if I try to do my ender, I miss. So what about if I do like a fireball? Let's try... No. Alright, let's try 2 punches into fireball, because that seems to at least do something. Oop. And we're not getting that. And this is where we learn to kind of practice, right? So we're not very good at that yet. So in addition to answering this question, we also kind of have to get good, but that's going to be part of the training mode. So let's see if we can get... No, that doesn't work either. So we have the answer to our question. We don't have to practice anymore. We got the answer to our question. That doesn't work. Let's try something else. Let's try doing 1 JC and then going into this move. Let's see if jumping C into the Medusa head is good enough from that range. Oop. Look at that! Alright, so we can probably end that in sweep, and judging from the combo meter below the hit point bar, it looks like that sweep is going to be a hard knockdown. So let's see here. Yep. So there's a full combo now. We're not leaving that damage on the table anymore. We kind of know how to deal with it. And there's another question answered. How do I get a confirm off of this round start that I was occasionally getting? And now we have an answer. And we might not get that every time, but every time we don't get it, we're going to be thinking about it. And that will help us to eventually get into the mind space of using that particular combo in that particular situation to make sure that we get the hits. And we're still going to jump forward with jump B and miss. And we're still going to try to throw a fireball and miss. And that's just part of learning. But at least we have an answer now. So, Now we've got our 2 questions answered. Let's solve our 2 problems. And I'm not going to go over the entire process of this, but basically we've got a couple things that we're doing that don't work, and we're going to have to get our muscle memory to a point where we're doing them better. The first one is this same general idea. At round start, we were having troubles getting medium-heavy sweep when our opponent was blocking instead of medium-heavy launcher. So you can see at round start positioning, we actually have this perfect little spacing where if I do medium-heavy sweep and try to launch, it doesn't work. But if I do medium-heavy launch, it works perfectly fine. So at round start positioning, with a move that I'm going to be using somewhat frequently at round start, at least at the beginning until I find players and learn about setups that work better. Since this is my fastest move that hits the opponent from round start positioning, I'm going to be using this move a lot. It seems to be pretty good. It seems to hit players that are doing stuff a lot of the time, especially at my level. So I really want to make it so that when I go like this, I'm not whiffing this, not uncomboing it, and when they block it, I'm not going into this wildly unsafe launcher on block. So one of my big problems, we're actually going to use another feature here and turn on stick display. One of my problems is that the sweep that I want when they're blocking is very close directionally to the launcher that I was getting. And so that was causing me problems. So my original thought for the fix is, what if I hit down back instead? Down back will still get me the sweep when I'm expecting the sweep, and it'll be a lot further away from this launcher, right? It's not quite as easy to get it when I'm way over here instead of when I'm right here, and I could at any moment scoot over to the wrong spot just with a tiny little flick of the stick. So that's going to be kind of what I'm doing. So do I think that that's better? Yeah, I do. See, it seems to be working perfectly fine. There's no like big problem with it. Most of the time I'm going to want to do fireball afterwards, so down into quarter circle is basically the exact same motion as down back into quarter circle forward. It's very easy. Now, if I want to do a chapter trap afterwards, I might have to change it up a little bit. Let's see. If I do sweep from here and I try to chapter trap, yeah, it doesn't work, right? I have to go back down. So that's something to think about, but for the most part, sweep into fireball will be perfectly suitable, especially right now. I'm going to hit down back when I want to sweep. That should stop me from getting this as often. And also, I just want to work on the hit confirm. So I'm just going to go over, change my opponent's blocking to random, and the plan is, if I see them block, I'm going to go into sweep, and if I see them get hit, I'm going to go into the launcher. Wow, RNG was on my side right there. 25% chance for that to happen while I'm actually talking about it in real time. And so I'm going to, for the next 10 minutes, practice that. And by the end of it, I should have a much better percentage of getting the sweep when they're blocking on round start and getting the launcher when they get duffed in the face at round start. And that's going to make it so that my round start is a lot stronger. Boom, done. 10 minutes later, I'm going to be a lot better at that. So what's the other thing that I'm looking at? The other thing I was looking at is that when I was throwing fireballs, I was getting jabs a lot. So I'm going to try to figure out why that was. So I think I've already come up with a little bit of an issue here. So I think that the fireball is off the screen right about there. But it doesn't count as off the screen until the sound is made, right? There. So I think that the A fireball is really good for setups or maybe for like trying to get counter hits in pressure. But I think that when we're full screen like this just takes away an option more than anything. It's really slow. My opponent has all the time in the world to react to it. And they know that I can't throw out another one until it's there. Okay, there we had a problem though. There we tried to jump and it didn't work. So we do need some practice with this. But I think one of our big problems wasn't even the fireball motion itself. It was just that we were using a slow fireball and not waiting for that sound before we're throwing our next fireball. So we were getting inputs we didn't want. I was mostly having troubles with jump forward into fireball or jump backwards into fireball. And it feels like we've got a decent... Like, we're doing a whole lot better at getting it here in training mode than we were in the matches. And while that's pretty standard, you're just going to be better at getting stuff in training mode when you don't have pressure going on than you are in matches. The percentage is enough higher that I think my major problem was actually just not waiting long enough. Yeah, see, I couldn't throw a fireball there yet. That A fireball just takes forever to get off the screen. So now we learned something. I'm still going to practice this, and I'll probably practice some of the more interesting things she can do with it. So I'm going to jump forward, fireball, jump neutral. Jump forward, fireball, jump back. Jump forward, fireball, jump forward. Oh, let's try that again. Like jump forward, fireball, jump forward, right? So now I can practice some of this stuff that was vexing me in matches and making it so that I would like jump and try to throw a fireball, and apparently the other fireball's not off the screen yet, and I would be getting this jab. And a lot of times it would work out, but there were times where I really needed the fireball to come out, and I like didn't realize that the fireball was still barely on the screen on the other side. I couldn't throw a fireball yet, or I was just missing the input. Now I can fix that. And I learned that unless I've got like magic and a plan, this A fireball is really slow. It's probably not the right option from full screen. I probably want to throw these fireballs. If I want to pressure my opponent into saying, hey, being full screen against me is bad, I want to throw these fast fireballs that let me continue to throw more fireballs immediately afterwards. So that way I can start making it so that they have to deal with this, you know, obstacle course of fireballs instead of dealing with this and going, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that. And now I know you can't throw another air fireball, right? So I was having opponents dash under the fireball and then jump at me, knowing that I couldn't throw another fireball. I got some stuff that now I know, hey, here's where my problems were. So I can practice this, and I can practice this for about 10 minutes each. I'm going to be a whole lot better at each of them, and then I'm going to go into some matches and hopefully see some progress. And I hope to see you there.